Head over to miniaturemarket.com where there's thousands of board games at discounted prices like The Number. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today it's all about the numbers. You're going to be writing numbers on a board, trying to knock people out. This is all about bluffing and head games and trying to get bonus points. Today we're taking a look at The Number. This is a new game from Repos Productions. It's not really a party game, but I'm probably going to put it on my party game shelf because that's kind of what it feels like. Let me show you how it works. Now the Number is played over 2 main rounds. Each of the round, you'll have 5 turns. This game is pretty much simultaneous. Every player gets a board like this that they'll be tracking their score throughout the turns and the numbers that they've used, and they're gonna have a board they're gonna write numbers on. So on your turn, you're simply going to write a 3-digit code on your board and then secretly put it face down. So once all the players have done that, it'll look something like this. Then you flip them up and you put them in order. And it might look something like this. Now, you're trying to be the highest number because the highest number will get the bonus for the round. And each player, if they're still in at the end of the round, is gonna get an amount of points equal to the first number. That's why it's underlined. So this player went 999. That's the highest number. Now you could write any digit from 000 to 999. This player wrote 999. So then you look down forward. If any number that is smaller than this has any of the 3 numbers that this player wrote, like this player has at least 19, this player's on 9, this one gets canceled out. They get 0 points. This player has 990. So they're gonna look at, they're like, ha ha ha, I thought you were gonna go 999 in the first round, but I went 990 to knock you out. Well, guess what? They look down and they go here, nope, no 9s or 0s. Here, there's a 0. So this player knocked this one out, and look who gets the last laugh now. And now this player has 777, this player is 650, none of these match. So this player, both of these players are gonna score. This player's gonna score 7, this player's gonna score 6. But this one, because of the highest, is gonna get the bonus. So this is what each of these 2 players' scoreboard would look like after the first turn. This one got 7 points, but they got +2 because they were the highest one that was still there. So they got 9, but you have to cross off all the numbers you used, 7. This one got 6 points because that's the first digit. So they got 6 points. They did not get a bonus because they weren't the highest, but they have to mark off 650. So some different strategies here, right? There's gonna be a lot of things changing. You're gonna be looking at players' boards. By the way, the players that got knocked out, they actually will write 0 here and they don't mark off any new numbers. So they have the flexibility of using that 9 again a little bit later. Now the thing that's interesting is that you might think, well, it's easier to get away with get points with 1 single digit all the way through. That is true, and you leave yourself more options, which is also true. However, at the end of the round, and as the rounds go on, so after this we would erase this, and players would write any 3-digit number on their board, but you cannot use the numbers that have already been crossed off. So this player has less choices. Well, why would anyone really do that? Well, they really thought they were trying to knock out the people that he thought they were going to go high early in the round. But if you look at these boards, the bonus gets higher and higher every turn. 2, then 3, then 4, then 6, then 8. And also the last turn of the round, first you double your score, and then if you get the bonus, it's 8. So things ramp up at the end of the round. So you might think, well, everyone's probably going to try to use the higher numbers here. Yes, but if I think you're going to do that, and then you think that I know that you're going to do that, that's when everything really opens up, and you're really just fighting to see, like, what are people going to do? Now, here's the other thing. At the end of the round, at the end of once all these turns have been done, each number that you've crossed off is a point. So that's what sort of balances everyone either just trying to do one number all the time, or maybe even crossing off all your numbers. If you do, you had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 extra points here, that could be worth it, right? And so that's interesting. So at the end, you're going to add these all up, and on the back of this, you'll write your first round score. You will then erase this entire board. You'll play an entire another round of 5 turns. You'll write that whole round here. Whoever has the most points wins. So it might seem like a very simple game, and it is, but it's very different from anything else. And there's a lot of like head shaking, head bobbing, weaving, zigging when others are zagging, trying to do other things, looking at what other players' boards are, thinking what they might do, and then what might you do. A lot of above the table. This game's played tons, pretty much the whole thing's played above the table. But that's the basics of what happens. So for example, in the second turn of this first round, this is what the boards would look like, right? These are all usually just in front of the players. So these 2 players are like, okay, we got knocked out. Both of us got our 9s knocked out. Do they go for it again? Or do they kind of wait for a little bit later where most people are going to try to fight for that, right? This player's like, well, I could probably safely, 5, 6, and 0 and 7 are kind of used by either of these two players. This player could still play a 7, and this one could still play a 0, 5, or 6. But those numbers are less used, so maybe if I go for a 9, maybe they go 9, 5, 6, right? Or 9, 6, 6, right? Or something like that. Or maybe they go for the 9, 9, 9 again. What do they do? So it's a lot of different thinking, and as these boards go and get more and more filled as the turns go on, more and more numbers are crossed off, which gives players less choices, which gives players more things to think about. It's just an interesting design here. All right, now before I get to my final thoughts, I want to let you know that if you like my content, there's now ways to get bonus content like first impression videos well before a review will come out, or for many games I don't even end up reviewing. You can even vote for which games get reviewed on the channel. You can also see me opening up packages and getting content earlier than everyone else. Well, if you like that, you can check it out at patreon.com/GameBoyGeek. The number. Again, often, most of the time, even though I handpick which games come in here and we play, most of the time I'm like, it's good, but it feels like this, and I'd rather play that. Or it's a combination of this or that, and I like both of those better. This game is very unique. There's nothing like it. There really isn't. It just feels so different. Sure, it kind of feels maybe a little like Liar's Dice, but at the same time, it's still so very different in how things work. It really is like nothing else. In this game, it's all about getting into your opponent's heads. What are they thinking? What are they doing? What are their options? What numbers do they have crossed out? What did they do earlier? What did they do last round? What did they do last game? A lot of stuff carries over from game to game in this, and you're trying to bluff, double bluff, outthink what people think, what people are going to do. I know that they did this last game, so they might do it again. Or they might know that I think they're going to do it again, so they'll do something else to counteract that. And it goes back and forth, and you see what happens, and it's crazy. It's kind of chaotic, but it's really fun, and it has some strategy as well, though. Like when to use the 8s and 9s for high scoring. Well, the bonuses are bigger at the end. And the 8s and 9s are probably going to give you the best chance to get the bonuses, but if you wait to the end, and everyone waits to the end, chances are you're going to get knocked out, right? So do you go for the sure thing and get the 8 or the 9 points early and maybe even get the smaller bonus and let everyone else fight it out later? Or maybe you go in the middle. So what are people doing? It's again, this head game is just so fun. You're looking at what other players have crossed out that they've scored on earlier. What they can't write helps you deduce, and that's open information, which numbers you should kind of go for. You kind of know how people are scoring, which ones you want to try to knock out. If there's someone that's in the lead that has a bunch of numbers crossed out, I'm going to try to knock them out. I know which ones they more often are probably going to play. Very interesting. I love that you're messing with people and going just a little lower than another player. Like one player writes 910, thinking, they think I'm going to do 970 or 977. But no, they I'm going to go 910. And the player next to them goes, I'm just going to go 900, right? And then they get to knock out the player that played 910. And there's a lot of these little things that go on that's very interesting. Using those lower numbers to try and knock players out is really fun. It can be frustrating if you're the one knocked out, but at the same time, you kind of have to chuck and go, yep, you got me. Darn you, I'll get you next time. It's one of those things. The game's quick. It's like 15 minutes, even when you play both rounds. So you just, you play another one. There's another thing. You probably will play this game more than once in a sitting. I like that you're using 3 different numbers as a trade-off. So you can go 777. That's great. If you get it and you're in the highest, you're going to get the bonus. You're going to get 7 points, and you only had to cross off one number. Where if I do 712, I might still get the bonus. I might still get 7 points. But now I've used 3 numbers, which means I have less flexibility. So why would you ever do that? And it's really cool because at the end of the round, you're going to get 1 point for each cross-off number, and that helps balance that. It really balances the game. Otherwise, people are going to be selecting the same number 3 times almost every time they play, right? But this balances that to give you a strategy as to why you also want to separate and use different numbers, and it just really works well. I like that the highest number gets a better bonus as the round goes on. Each turn, it gets higher and higher and higher, upping up the stakes, upping up the ante, upping up. People want to play the higher numbers there, making it more important for people to get knocked out. It's just really clever the way it works. This is one of those games that gets better with every time you play it, but it definitely gets infinitely better every time you play it with the same group. Because you'll think, this is what they did last round, this is what they did last game, this is what they did 3 games ago, this is what they did last week when we played this. And there's a lot of meta stuff that comes in when you play this over and over with the same group. Now, I've actually played this with two different groups, completely different groups, me in a group and me in a group. So first of all, let me talk about the negatives. Number one, the first play can feel very strange, especially, hopefully, before you've watched this video, it'll feel extremely strange. I remember our first play of this, we're like, that was really weird. Let's try it again because there's something here, right? And then after you understand the strategies of the knocking out and when to use 3 of the same digits and when not to, and what getting the bonuses for not using all your numbers, this and that, so or for using the most of your numbers. So just know that the first time you sit down and explain this, even if you explain the bonus with the every number you use is still a point, even if you explain that, it's still gonna feel a little strange. It's gonna be like you're almost like walking around the room in the dark, trying to feel your way around. As simple as the game is, it's gonna feel weird. So your first play can feel weird, give it a shot. After that, play it 2 or 3 times with the same group first, and I promise you it's gonna start to click. And if you like sort of bluffing, if you like liar's dice, if you like a little bit of chaos but also some information, I think you're really gonna like this. But the game can feel too chaotic for some, especially at the 5-player count, because there's just more opportunities for you to get knocked out. 4 players, definitely the sweet spot for this game for me. I think it's perfect with 4 players. I wouldn't not play it with 3 or 5 players. I like 4 the best, then 3, then 5. 3 is more open, means you have less chances of getting knocked out. You're gonna score higher scores because you're gonna get to score more often, and more often you're gonna be on top and get the bonuses, and you're gonna score more often, right? So 3, you're gonna have the highest points. 4, but it still feels a little open, not too open though. I'll still play it. 4 is perfect. 5 is like a knife fight in a phone booth. You're gonna be lucky if you score at all sometimes, right? The last thing I don't like about the game is the box and the name. It is not inspiring. This is not gonna turn heads. The number, great. Maybe they're trying to piggyback off the game and the mind, which are also impossible to find on Board Game Geek. Go type the number in and see how many games come up. A lot. It's hard to find, and the box doesn't look very nice. I mean, it's whatever. It just looks very generic and classic. This game's not going to sell itself. If it's on a shelf, you're passing right by it. At least I would. But don't, because the game is fantastic for all these reasons. It's getting into my gaming library because it's so unique. So we're inducting it properly with Saxophone Serenade. Here we go. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table into a high-quality gaming solution, but they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with over 20 styles of thematic game mats in 11 different sizes from notable board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and real cool accessories, experience what thousands of other gamers enjoy by upgrading every game you play with a Game Topper system. Save hundreds of dollars on Game Topper package deals that are in stock now for immediate shipping at GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.